What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for some more content for you guys today. And, you know, we've been quite used to analysing top 4 races here on this channel in the past year. But what we're doing today is we are analysing the top 6 race. And it goes like, whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. I've always liked the Europa League song much more than the Champions League song.
More than the chat? No,
much more. Champions League music is in the mud.
I think you'll have to start getting used to it, I think, anyway.
But look, we are here to analyse the top 6 races between the 4 teams: Liverpool, Tottenham Hotspur, Brighton and Aston Villa. Liverpool, Tottenham and Aston Villa both have 3 games left to play, with Brighton having 5 games left to play. But look at those games, so hard, man. You're looking at Arsenal, Newcastle and Man City still left to play. But on the face of things, when you're looking at the league table, Liverpool in 5th spot, Tottenham in 6th, Brighton in 7th. I mean, with the Brighton fixtures, you've got to say we've got a really good chance now.
Definitely. I think Liverpool will be much more looking upwards at this point rather than downwards, seeing as they're only 1 point behind Man United in that race for top 4, albeit Man United have played a game more. So, look, in terms of Liverpool, with their fixtures as well, you think they're definitely going to be in the top 6. So, as much as we're 5 points behind, you got to think Liverpool should be all right. But obviously, Aston Villa, they've also got 3 very hard games. They're 3 points behind as well. Spurs at home, Liverpool away, Brighton at home. So I find it very difficult to see how Aston Villa make it at this point, especially as they're 3 points behind Spurs. So they're literally going to have to go 9 out of 9 as well, I would think. And I can't see them going to Anfield and winning. So I do think it's that last spot. I think it's us. It's a straight shootout at this point between us and Brighton. And we do have that 2-point gap. But the thing is with Brighton, they lost 5-1 to Everton, but then they've beaten Man United the week before. So you don't really know what kind of... Brighton are a very good team, and you know that in a lot of these games, they're going to play very well. Even against like Man City and Arsenal and Newcastle, I expect them to put in good performances. But are they going to have enough to win enough games? You've got to consider as well. Look at the... they're all away from... They got 4 out of 5 games away from home.
Yeah.
That is like... Also, because I think they're much better. I think they got quite a good home record, although they did lose 5-1 to Everton at home. So I think when you do the maths, how many points are we realistically expecting from this Brighton side over the next 5 games?
Well, me personally, let's take it team by team, starting off with Liverpool. I predicted 9 points for Liverpool in that. I've gone for 3 wins out of the 3. That will take them to 71 points in 5th, uncatchable. Tottenham, I've gone for 7 points. I've gone for us to draw at Villa Park and to beat Brentford and to beat Leeds. I think that's pretty realistic.
We've got to hope Leeds will be already down by then. We've just got to hope.
But even so, I think we've still got a good chance of beating them on the final day, even if it is to send them down. I think when you're looking at what we have and what they have, you should say that we should win that game.
If we need to win, you have to back us to win. Yeah,
exactly. So I've gone for 7 points for Spurs.
Yes, that puts us on 64.
Yeah. And then for Brighton, I've gone for 7 points as well. I've gone for a draw at Arsenal, loss at Newcastle, a win at Southampton, a loss at City, and I think a win at Aston Villa.
So you got 2 wins and a draw. Yeah, that's 7 points. So that puts them on 62. So that would put us ahead of them.
2 points clear.
And then Villa, how many points are you expecting there?
I put 1 point for Villa.
1 point.
Just the draw against Tottenham and loss in the other 2.
Yeah, I think at this point, especially their form seems to be slowing down as well. I think they're on great form. I wouldn't be surprised if they do get a win maybe in the final day against Brighton if they really got something to play for.
Yeah.
But I do think that by the time they play Brighton, they're probably going to be done.
And on the face of it, when you're looking at it, if it does go the way I kind of expect, could there be a potential, well, maybe even not the way I expect, but could there be a potential Europa Conference League playoff between Aston Villa and Brighton last game of the season?
Potentially. I think Brighton are still going to be within a shout of a Europa League spot, but if we beat Leeds, we'll probably make it moot. So it looks like that could well be a Europa Conference League playoff between the two, and that'll be great for either team. But if your predictions are right, that also does technically mean, well, doesn't technically mean, I guess it goes down to goal difference, but could we get 5 points and be okay? Because if we say drew our next 2 and then beat Leeds, that puts us on 62, and on the predictions you've got, which is Brighton to get 7 points. That puts them on 62.
The problem is that anything can happen in any of those Brighton games because like Brighton sometimes
They could beat Arsenal. You just never know.
They could beat Arsenal, but then they can go lose to Southampton.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's the kind of team Brighton are. Like you just never know what they're going to do to turn up. We've seen Brighton drop points out of teams that you're thinking, nah, there's no chance they're going to drop points this week, and then they go beat a Man United and go beat teams that are above them. So I mean, with Brighton, you just never know what you're going to get. That's the fear I have going into this race, to be honest. Yeah,
they could spring some surprises. You just never know. But in a way, if let's say we do get 5 points, I think if they say lose to Arsenal and Newcastle, which is pretty much expected at this point, or let's say they lose to Arsenal and Man City, they get a draw against Newcastle, that means they would have to beat both Southampton and Villa. There's no guarantee they beat Villa as well. Like there's a bit of leeway potentially for more drop points there for Brighton. I think 7 points will be enough for Tottenham because I think if let's say we get 7. What would Brighton need to finish above us? They would need, if we get 7, they would need 9 points out of those next 5 games. Yeah. Do we really see them getting 9 points? No. It's like that means they have to beat one of Arsenal, Newcastle, or City, or get a draw in all 3. Yeah. I don't see a win in all 3. And technically, actually, put it this way: they'll need to win. They'll need to beat Villa and Southampton, and 1 win out of.
I can see it though. 1 win out of Arsenal, Newcastle, and City. Just 1 win out of those 3.
They have to beat. But it has to be one of Villa away and City, Newcastle, and Arsenal.
Yeah.
So
it's a tall order, but it's possible. It's definitely possible.
But at this point now, if you look at the table, you would say Brighton are favourites. But you look at the fixtures, Brighton
Spurs are favourites? Yeah.
I think slightly now. Just because I think the 7. I think the fixtures lead to us being more available to pick up those 7 points, that will probably be enough to put us into that Europa League spot. I think 64 points is going to be so difficult for Brighton to get, even with their good form, because you've got to think about Arsenal have a lot to play for as well. Man City is still going for the title. Newcastle looking to seal that top 4 spot as well. So all these teams have a lot to play for still. And if it's Europa League conference playoff against Villa as well, it's going to be very difficult to go there and win. And even if not just like get a draw. So I mean, those four of those 5 games are very, very tough, and all away. I think all of them being away from home as well, not having those home comforts. We only have 1 game at home left anyway, but I think it's going to be. I mean, I can't see 9 points there. I think it's too difficult for them to get 9 points.
I would say if Spurs go to Aston Villa and win this weekend, that puts us in pole position big time, in my opinion.
Well, if we win, let's say we win and they lose to Arsenal.
Even if it's a draw,
that'll be 4 points with 2 games in hand, and all of a sudden it's looking very tall. I wonder who with the bookies I wonder if I see who's favourite, who the bookies have. Let me just check. I don't know if I can. I would
think that the bookies would have Spurs as favourites with the fixtures. Because those fixtures got to play into it. Like you got City away,
Brighton are big favourites.
Big favourites.
Well,
what are the odds?
Brighton at 8-13.
Yeah,
and Spurs 5-4. So, they're favourites.
Yeah.
If you take that as like if you took those odds as just like a fixture, you would say Brighton are big favourites. You would say in as a fixture.
But I think those odds dramatically change if we
after
beat
1
Villa
game
this weekend.
Yeah, after 1 game. So the bookies still believe Brighton are going to be good enough to get results, or I guess the bookies are believing we're not going to be good enough to get results in our games. I guess the big question is then, are we going to be good enough to get the job done? I think maybe that's the big question, because there's definitely opportunity for Brighton to drop points. I think we can conclude that. But are Tottenham going to get those 7 points? That's the big question, because we've changed that formation, got a good win against Palace, had good performances against United and Liverpool, but are we going to show that consistency to get 7 points out of 3?
Because it's 3 games to go, when you're looking at the opponents we're facing right now, none of them are on good form at all. Brentford seem to be like, they can win a few games here and there, but they're more or less on the beach. Their season's done. Aston Villa, they do have something to play for, but they've had a drop-off. And Leeds, I mean, they're obviously just hired Big Sam. They lost to Man City. They could be well down by then. So I think when you're looking at all the fixtures, you've got to prefer our fixtures to anyone else's. We're good at home. We're getting results at home. And how big is that win against Brighton we had a few weeks ago?
Massive now. When you look at this, if you look at that Europa League spot, we got so lucky in that game, but clearly in the context is very, very big. But also it's important to know, let's say we do lose to Villa this weekend, how does that change things? Like if Villa do end up beating us, they'll go level on points with us. Probably I'm assuming we're going to stay ahead on goal difference because let's say they don't beat us by 3 goals or 2 goals.
Yeah.
That means they'll go level on points with us, and let's say Brighton lose as well.
It
6
opens
points.
It all up massively.
It does, but then Villa will still probably need. How many points would they need out of their last 2 games they beat us? Would they need 4 points? Would you say?
Well, they go.
Would they
what
still
are we
need
assuming? We're assuming we're getting 6 points then from Brentford and Leeds.
Yeah, let's say we get 6. That puts us on 63 still. Even
So
if we lose to Villa,
they'll need 6 points. They need to win all 3 games. I think Villa,
they'll still need to win all 3.
and they need to get goals as well.
But in terms of Brighton, even if we lose and win the next 2, that still doesn't. They still need to win. They still need 9. They'll need 8 points still. They still need 3 wins.
Yeah,
So it's still difficult. Even if we lose to Villa, it's still difficult for Brighton if we win the other 2.
Yeah.
So I guess the message I'm trying to get is, even if we lose to Villa, we shouldn't panic. Like we can still do it
in terms of fighting against Villa, but we should panic. In
No,
terms of
Brighton.
fighting against Brighton.
I'm saying either. I'm saying if they don't beat Arsenal and we lose to, I'm assuming they don't beat Arsenal.
Yeah, even though they've won there the last 2 years.
Yeah, but if we assume they don't and we lose to Villa, it's still quite on for us. If we can assume that it's going to be difficult for them to win 3 out of the next 4 games when they have Newcastle, Villa, and City.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're definitely right.
If we can win the next 2, I think if we really concentrate on ourselves and get the job done on our end, I really think the results are going to fall into place.
I completely agree. But can we trust ourselves to get the job done?
Well, look, I guess the signs are positive with how we're playing under Mason. 3, I guess you could say, good performances.
And the games are getting easier.
The games are getting easier. The players seem to be rallying around him. So maybe we're still in a good place to get this top 6. That's what I want.
Do you think the league is going to finish as it is? Liverpool, Tottenham, Brighton, Villa?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I think as well.
I do. I think this is how it finishes.
And you know what? As much as Brighton could have got, an outside chance of Champions League at one point, Europa League fighting till the end, for Brighton to go into the Conference League is massive for them.
Of course.
And they're going to have a genuine chance of winning that as well.
Definitely, especially if they keep De Zerbi, because there's a lot of rumours going around there right now, but especially if they can keep a lot of the players there together and they keep De Zerbi and they got these other players coming through 100%, it'll be a brilliant achievement for Brighton, the highest ever Premier League finish, and it'll be great for them to get European football. It'll be interesting to see how it affects them next season in terms of if they can keep progressing in the league with European football, but it'll be a great achievement. I think under the circumstances, Europa League is obviously a massive, considering what we expected at the start of the season, Europa League would be a massive downer, but I definitely would rather Europa League than either Conference League or no European football at all, in my opinion.
Do we go into that tournament as one of the favourites?
Probably, yeah. Always the Premier League teams are going to be one of the favourites.
I'm just trying to look around Europe, like what other teams are getting in it. So in Italy, AC Milan are in the Europa League spot
at the moment.
Yeah.
But then the Champions League semi-final.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. They're not going to win the Champions League, I don't think. But
weirder things have happened.
Villarreal in Spain.
With no Emre, which is good.
Yeah. In France, you've got Monaco. Yeah, Monaco. They're actually good sides. In Germany, you've got Freiburg. But it's probably... actually, Leverkusen, man.
Could be Leverkusen.
No, it can't be. Look how far Leverkusen behind are. They're on 48 points. Freiburg are on 56.
They had a bad start.
Yeah, so it looks like it's going to be Freiburg or Union Berlin, or could even be RB Leipzig. So some fairly decent sides in the Europa League next season, if it all stays the same. So it's a competition that we definitely got to put our all into.
I think you expect good teams to be in Europa League, to be honest. I think it's a good competition. I think it's. I quite like the Europa League, to be honest. I think it's a really good competition to win. Yeah. I feel very differently about the Conference League, in all honesty. But I really, really am hoping we get that top 6. And I think, maybe a week ago, or definitely when Stellini was here, was looking like a tall order.
Yeah.
But looking at those fixtures and how we've played, I think there's a really good chance.
All right, so I guess we'll leave it there. I mean, that is us analysing the top 6 race. We both are kind of thinking the league is going to finish the way it is, but big weekend this weekend in terms of the top 6 race. Spurs against Aston Villa, Brighton against Arsenal as well. So what, are we hoping for Arsenal to win this weekend?
Draw. Come on.
But let's be honest, you got
it's a win-win-win.
You got Arsenal, right, playing Brighton. I wouldn't mind if Brighton win that game and then go, well, actually, it doesn't work like that. We need a draw. We need a draw.
We can't have Arsenal win.
And for Man City to beat Brighton,
Yeah,
that's what we want. So I think it ticks all the boxes, doesn't it? Spurs to get in the top 6, Arsenal not to win the league, and happy days.
Got a good end to the season, guys. Looking like it. Come on.
So get positive for the return of the Europa League. Let me know in the comment section below what you think the probability is of Tottenham making it into that top 6. Let me know how you think the league is going to finish in terms of the top 6 race. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always,
come on you Spurs.